aggressive and harsh reactionary politics to what happened on the Capitol Hills. In regards to my previous video that I did soon after the 6th of January on the Capitol Hills, I would say civil righting. This is kind of a continuation in regards to the aftermath of the event, a historic event. I really think that the Democrats are overreacting. And I've been a Democrat. I have voted for Bernie Sanders, and I did campaign for Biden at the peak of the elections 2020 when he was losing and when he was looking really bad on the polls. So when I'm saying this to the Democrats, that you guys have to take it easy and, not be so aggressive, I have my reasons. And the most important reason is that you have to learn your lesson from the Syrian civil crisis. When the Syrian civil crisis happened, and, Assad, he reacted very, strongly to what happened on the streets. And the end result was a lot of bloodshed, was, it was inevitable. There was so much of bloodshed, and there was obviously the civil crisis turned into a civil war. Right now, you're at a stage where you can prevent that end result from happening. And the ball is in your court right now. And it is important that you restrain yourself and you realize what are going to be the consequences of every decision you make. And impeaching, invoking 25th Amendment and 14th Amendment is going to reap, and it's basically going to create a disaster. Because Trump, even though he's conceded, he is not going to sit down and relax and watch you guys technically deactivate an entire Republican Party. The 14th Amendment is going to make the Republican Party's political career go down to zero. And one of the feelings that I have is that the deep state wants to gear the US towards a one-party system like in China, and so that they have a better control over the politics, over the decisions, and over the outcomes. And so if the Democrats or the 74, not the Democrat, but if the Republicans and the 74 million voters of Trump even get a hang of it, which I think they already do, they are going to react pretty aggressively to your aggression. And we are looking at a serious, bloody, deadly, lethal civil war in US. That's already going on. We have been through it. When the BLM happened, we saw that. We saw a civil war. There was civil crisis. People were dying. People were getting killed. There was so much of bloodshed, and there was so much of vandalism. And the same scenario, you can quadruple it 4 times. And I would say this is going to be the mother of all chaos. If you guys did not do things differently, and if you guys did not restrain yourself, if you guys did not hold back, look at the consequences that could happen as a result of your actions. I think dialogue is the most important thing right now. Both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party heads, they have to sit down. Biden should make an effort to go talk to Trump in person and talk things out. And this will unify the people of the United States, and this will show the Republican voters, the 74 million Americans, that Biden is not just the president of Democrats, but Biden is also their president too. And I think, and at the same time, we have to realize that you cannot fight a battle with 74 million Americans who voted for Trump. That's like 1/4 of US, approximately that's 1/4 of US. That's every 4th American in the United States. And if you tried to create a battle, whether it's legal, whether it's political, whether it's just based upon your, you know, precipitation of a post-insurrection, you know, impeachment and invoking 25th Amendment, invoking 14th Amendment. You're going to create a tsunami of, like, literally, people will be swarming the streets. These 74 million Americans who are sitting at home right now, who don't even care about masking, who don't even care about COVID-19, they will be swarming the streets and literally plugging the entire infrastructure of US, and you won't be able, there's no force in US that will be able to control these 74 million Americans. And at that point, when you retaliate, you will look really bad. And all of Biden's presidency will be spent in trying to control these people on the streets of US, because they are feeling betrayed right now by the Biden administration. They are feeling betrayed right now by the Democrats, and they are reacting. What happened on the Capitol Hills was a reaction to the election results, and that's very common all over the world. And you cannot say that this was terrorism. You cannot say that Trump precipitated it, because Trump, when he went on the podium, he did not say that go and lit up the building, go and, you know, take explosives with you, go and kill those people. He never used those words. So to blame him as instigating so much violence is basically just causing more complications, and it is making them feel betrayed by the entire Congress. And that is why they're going to react further. They're going to say this is democracy. They're going to use their rights. They're going to come back to the Capitol Hill. They're going to come back to DC. And even if you stop them from coming to DC, even if you stop them from coming to the Capitol Hill, wherever they are, they're going to react. And the entire US is going to just blow up into a fire, a deadly fire of civil crisis, civil war, on the same lines as the one that happened in Syria. You're going to be another Syria. So what I'm trying to say is this, that your reaction is what is going to cause you to become another Syria, and not what happened on Capitol Hill. First of all, what they did was circumstantial. It was you know, a breakthrough moment in the history of US. Biden won. They were not expecting him to win, but he won. They did not want the home balloting, and they did not want the, you know, the mail-in ballots, and they were against it from day one. They did not like how the elections were conducted. Their voices were not heard. We're talking about 74 million Americans. That's every fourth American in US. And even if you eliminated the factor of the mail-in ballot, Biden would have still won, because people were upset about what was going on with the BLM efforts, and how they were being treated, how the blacks were being treated, how the Hispanics were being treated. So Americans at large were upset. You would have still won. So now that you ignored and did not listen to their concerns about the mail-in ballot and about the way the elections were conducted, these 74 million Americans are feeling betrayed, and they want to react. They want to use their right to react. They want to use their First Amendment Bill of Rights to be able to express themselves, to be able to tell the world what they think, that they matter, that they matter. That is the whole idea, that they want to show the world that they are not like, you know, people who can be just silenced, like you're trying to do using Twitter, using most of the social media accounts. They want to be heard. They are part of the United States. They are American citizens. They have rights. And I know they think differently. I know they have acted differently, and that is a concern for all of us. But you cannot just shut them down. You cannot just silence them like this. that is going to create and aggravate the entire conflict. And it is very important for the Democrats, who now have the Senate and the House, to come out and try to embrace them, try to have a dialogue with them, try to sit down with them, and try to include them. Because if the Democratic Party is all about inclusivity, then they have to be part of that inclusivity spectrum. You cannot just shun them and throw them out. That is just going to aggravate their reaction. That's just going to create a bigger mess than we already have. Um, White supremacy has been in US forever. I am not advocating for white supremacy. I've never have. I've been one of the biggest supporters of BLM. But you have to sit down with them and you have to talk to them. You cannot make them change their minds overnight. You cannot make them start liking blacks overnight. First of all, you have to understand why they are doing it. First of all, you have to understand where is this coming from, and then you have to treat it accordingly. You don't just go to radical surgery, where you're amputating 1/4 of America, technically, cracking down on 1/4 of America, and trying to amputate and trying to dismember your body, and then say that you're doing it in the name of your Constitution. You cannot do that. They are here, they are in the US, and they're Americans, they have rights, and they're using their right. That's all that's happening. And Trump is their leader. And so anything you do to Trump is going to fall back on you. And I'm not saying that you have to get coerced and blackmailed into something you don't want to. That's never the answer, but dialogue is always helpful. And I think if you approach Trump in a decent political, I would say, hospitable and inclusive way, instead of just profiling him as a terrorist and calling him names and blaming him for everything, I think things are just going to get worse, because the more you blame him, the more he's going to react. And he's going to bounce back, and his 74 million American voters are going to bounce back. And this country is going to just break up into one of the deadliest civil wars you could have ever seen. I mean, you can't even imagine. They are weaponized. They have weapons. They have rights, and you will use weapons with your forces, and it's going to be a nightmare. People are going to die. People are going to die, literally. There's nothing you'll be able to do to stop that. They are armed. So that's all I have to say. Thanks. Bye.